Welcome back to the C&C Connection Podcast. I am one half of the C, Christian, with the other half of the C, Chris. Chris, say hello to the people.
How you doing out there, you lovely rug rat people?
Well, I am doing fantastic. I just had a nice fried chicken dinner, and I'm drinking a nice cold beer right now. So,
Yeah, I don't drink anymore, so drink one for me.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess we'll address what you just found out to start this baby
Yeah,
off.
so those of you who don't know, I also have another podcast called the Cybermania and Friends podcast. Um, and Chris happened to be the very first guest on that show. That's what spawned off this show, as a matter of fact. And I just found out moments ago that WWE copyrighted a part of that video because I, not thinking about it at all, used a small snippet of SmackDown from last week. And so, WWE, please don't copyright this one for calling you guys out and for saying SmackDown. So, there we go.
Yeah, that's crazy that they'll go after everybody. I mean, you know, we're not making money off their stuff. We're not doing none of that. So I just stay prosperous.
And the funny thing is that they're picking and choosing who they go after, I noticed, because Botchmania uses WWE clips all the time, and they don't.
That's true. I think how they get away with it, though, is they put it in that small box. If you watch Botchamania, they put it in that small box. So I guess that's how they get around it.
I don't know how they get around like that, but okay. Well, anyway, so when we last left off, Chris and I, we were speaking about 1997 and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the time period of WWE that was the hottest time. Well, for this one, Chris and I thought that it would be fun to discuss the hottest period in pro wrestling. And I should preface this by saying I didn't watch in the 60s, I didn't watch in the 70s, I didn't watch in the 80s. I started watching in 1997 when I was 4 years old. I am 28 years old at this moment, and so I am a much younger viewer. And so my idea of like the best period of professional wrestling and Chris's uh, opinion will probably be very, very different. So, Chris, I'm going to let you go first. What do you say is the best era in professional wrestling or time frame?
Best era to me, honestly, and keep in mind, I did start watching it pretty much very, very, very early. My earliest memories as an infant is actually seeing it on TV. So, pretty much to me, I enjoyed the territories, which I would tell anybody go back and watch some, Mid South Wrestling, Memphis, all that type of stuff. Jim Crockett Promotions. That era is really awesome. Honestly, a lot of stuff came out of those areas and era of wrestling. That's personally around that time. That and WWE '97. That's probably to me their best year.
So for me, my opinion, their best year was probably between 2000. I'll say their best years, in my opinion, were probably between the year 2000 and 2004. You had all of the top stars at that point. At one time in that whole era, you had The Rock, you had Stone Cold, you had Brock Lesnar, you had John Cena, you had The Undertaker, you had Goldberg, you had Hulk Hogan. Those were some of the biggest names. Yeah, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero and Edge. And they were young and they were still up and coming. And Orton was young and up and coming. And a lot of matches in that era are very, very underrated. And the women's division, maybe not so much on SmackDown. On SmackDown, you had Tori Wilson and Nydia and Dawn Marie and whatever and Sable. But on Raw, you look at the women's division, which I'm a huge fan of that women's division. Trish Stratus, Jazz, Victoria, Molly Holly. The latter three I listed are very underrated in what they've done in professional wrestling. They are three, Jazz, Molly, and Victoria. I mean, obviously, Trish is one of the best. She's a Hall of Famer. But Jazz and Molly Holly and Victoria should also be. I mean, Molly Holly is too. So, but Jazz and Victoria, I mean, they play their roles very well, and they were awesome foils to Trish and Lita. And and then you look at the tag team division. You look at the Dudley Boys and the Basham Brothers and the world's greatest tag team and the Los Guerreros. I mean, there was so much talent on the roster between 2000 and 2003. And I'm looking just at that 2003 roster, but then you also had like two cool. You had Edge and Christian when they were in their prime and they were being awesome. They were being hilarious. And then you had just they had some all time classics during that time frame. Like I mentioned, they had the WrestleMania ladder match. They had so many of those. The Rock and Stone Cold, their WrestleMania 17. But then you take the good but then you got to take the bad with the good, and you also had the invasion angle, which we can get into that too if you want, Chris. That whole thing was just you take out the whole invasion angle, and to me, that time frame was the best.
Well, they didn't have like the stars like from WCW, so you have like the C team.
Right.
That was doomed to fail just because of that. There really hasn't been a real good invasion angle other than in Japan usually. They dropped the ball with it because they should have balled out a couple of those contracts from Time Warner, but
and there was no reason why they didn't,
because they brought people in like the very next year or 2 years that, but by that time you'd already run the well dry pretty much.
By that point, it was too late, and to me, I never really wanted to see Rock and Hogan. I always wanted to see Austin Hogan. That was the match that, I mean, I'm not saying that Rock and Hogan was bad. I'm not saying that. But I would just prefer to see Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan. That was a money match.
But see, you got to think on that one, who would have done the job? Because neither one of them liked the job.
Yeah, well, hang on. You say that, and we can get into this too. But Austin, he didn't mind losing as long as the loss made sense and there was money in it and everything like that. So, you say that Austin would like to lose. I think he would have lost to Hulk. I think he wouldn't have minded losing to Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that was the big reason why he didn't work with him. He just, I guess, heat from WCW. When Hogan came in, I mean, that's when all the geezers came in.
Oh, okay.
And there was heat pulled behind that, honestly. Austin kind of kept that heat personal, took it personal.
Yeah.
So it kind of manifested later on.
So we talked about the best period in wrestling. What what would you say is the worst period in wrestling?
Seeing this, I'm going to be looking back in hindsight too, because as a kid, you're just happy to watch wrestling and
right,
anything. But I have to really say, like, 1995, and really to me probably the last couple of years of wrestling.
I'm actually going to agree with you about the last, at least this last year. I mean, and I know that a lot of stuff has affected pro wrestling, like the COVID and stuff. But I mean, the thing is Raw. I mean, I'm gonna blister Raw here just for a minute because they deserve it. But Raw lately has just been repeat, 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 repeat. We're doing the same matches over and over and over and over again. And it's just like, and I understand that people are feuding and everything, but you gotta have new feuds, you gotta have new matches, and I feel like Raw is not doing that. Now SmackDown is refreshing because SmackDown, you actually have characters getting over and stuff, and Roman Reigns is just killing it. I buy Roman Reigns as like the ultimate bad guy on SmackDown, and just I buy that. But Bobby Lashley, as much of a freak athlete as that guy is, I'm sorry, man, I can't buy him as this bad dude. Like his voice, it's his voice for me. Like he just sounds like too much of a wimp. Like he looks like he's a beast. He'll kill you. But when he gets on that talk and he gets on that microphone and talks, it's like I don't really believe anything he's gonna say.
True.
But
Roman Reigns, they should have done that a long time ago, honestly.
Absolutely.
Because now he's doing his best work, and if they would have pulled the trigger like a long time ago, it would have went better. Maybe things would have worked out better for WWE. But hindsight 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say 95 probably. Looking back on it, might be one of the worst years ever.
Yeah, I've heard of. I didn't watch in '95. I mean, for God's sakes, I was only 2 years old in 1995. But I've heard some of the things from WWE in '95. That was when they did all those like weird gimmicks, right? Like the goon and the T.O. Hopper or whatever, and yeah, the trash guy.
The occupational gimmicks, as I call it.
What do you call it?
The occupational gimmicks.
Okay, yeah. Which that never made sense. Why would you do that? But
Vince wanted characters, and that's pretty much that. Honestly, it's Vince McMahon's show. That's how he saw it. Thank God he turned the other way for a little while.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say something that a lot of people are going to disagree with. A lot of people, especially my friends on Facebook. But I got to say that Vince needs to leave WWE. He needs to step down. He's not going to, but he needs to.
Yeah. Honestly, he's put his finger way too much into things he doesn't need to, and
he's
just like with NXT. Once it went to cable television, you could kind of tell that it was like, okay, well, I got to get in on this now.
He's changing things for the sake of changing things. Was that my phone, or were you watching something?
No, that was your phone.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm playing a game, and the ad, I guess. My bad. Vince, he's not going to, but he needs to. So, yeah.
I think what he's getting ready to do, honestly, and it seems like he's positioning himself to sell the company.
Who does he sell it to, though? That's...
talks have been Disney.
Oh, for God. That's the... Oh, God.
So that's just...
Okay. Let's play this game. Let's go down this rabbit hole. Imagine if Disney actually gets WWE. Just, do you think it would be as bad as I do?
It can't be any worse than what it already is, at this point, to be honest.
That sounds like a challenge, and Vince McMahon loves a challenge.
They obviously they have the biggest stars and the best people. I watched a lot of these people in Ring of Honor in the early 2000s, and just with that roster, how can you drop the ball?
Well, ask Vince; he'll show you. He's doing it right now.
Shoving the same ideas in people's face over and over again, pretty much.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I like Cesaro. I think that guy is really, really good. But I think it's a couple of years too late for him at this point.
Oh yeah, because the thing is people. If you present somebody like a goof, people are going to perceive them as a goof, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So Vince kind of really fucked himself in a way doing that, because like you have to, the wrestlers have to have momentum. There's a reason that there was squash matches on TV back in the day.
Right. And
stars against each other.
Yeah. And I just want to state for the record, for all my Facebook friends that are going to see this, and I don't want to hear anybody say that we don't blister, we do not blister WWE, because we're doing that right now. We may have a guest here coming up just a second. So give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to find us a guest, hopefully.
Yeah.
This guest, his name, just so you know, Chris, his name is Brandon. Brandon Yellerton. And he was scheduled to be a guest on the Cybermania and Friends podcast. I'm wondering if he'd like to be on this one as well. So that way we can have maybe a different perspective on things. But
I'm always for that.
Yeah, but I mean, I a lot of my friends. Here's the funny thing, Chris. A lot of my buddies, they'd say, "You go after AEW all the time, and you attack them all the time. You blister them, but you never go after WWE." So for this show, that's just what we're doing. We're going to blister WWE because, quite frankly, as of late, they deserve it.
Yeah, I was so excited, like I said on the last podcast, when AEW came out and all that. I was excited up until 2 or 3 months into it, and I was like, man, this isn't good.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
When AEW came out first. I can't believe I forgot the name. AEW came out. I was happy, but honestly, like 2 months into it, I was over it.
Yeah, see, for me, AEW is cool. AEW is cool for me, but they bash WWE too much. You know what I mean? And I know that that's what we're doing on this show right now. We're bashing WWE too, but we're not going to bash WWE every single week.
No, not at all. Just right now, it's just wrestling's just in a slump, and until they start going back to the things that work, it's going to continue to be that way, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to add somebody real quick. Let me see if he can. So we're going to add Wes. So just give me 1 second. How do I add people to the group, huh? Hold up.
Yeah, just that's why I just really don't watch wrestling as much anymore.
Right. Well, yeah. I told my uncle this week because he normally comes over and watches with me on Mondays, and I just told him today. I'm like, dude, can we just take a day off? Um, hey, we're gonna have to do this in a part 3 because I'm gonna add my friend to that chat. Hopefully, so just give me 1 second, Chris. I will call you right back. This episode is to be continued.